Today we're going to design the first model for the Holy Trinity project, the Porsche 918 Spyder in the LEGO Speed Champion scale. We're also going to drink some coffee, a lot of coffee, take a look at the claw piece and shoot some spacey, shaky footage. Finally decided to design all of the super requested Holy Trinity cars, beginning with the 918 Spyder. I actually started designing a 918 quite a while ago, but as with so many projects, it got scrapped or whatever. I don't know. Only designed the front, which I actually now kinda like. It looked better than I remembered it. I think I'm gonna try something else to begin with anyway, and we will see where we end up. Let's begin designing something. As usual, started placing some bricks together like this without attaching them, just to get some sort of idea for the front, but I don't know. Now modified this slightly and actually think this kind of looked pretty good. I'm a bit worried about these tooth claw pieces or whatever and how, like, what do you say, accessible or common they are. But I'm actually kinda considering this design after all, maybe with some slight modifications as well. So built up kinda what I had designed digitally, made some more slight modifications. For example, I improved the headlights, but other than that I kept it relatively the same. I think the headlight turned out really great. Need to order some parts in the right color though. I'm not fully convinced about the transparent pieces. Yes, they are the most accurate to the real car, but might look better with dark bluish gray ones like, like this. But I don't know, now that I see this, I kind of think it looks better with the transparent ones, so maybe going with the transparent ones is the best alternative, but we'll see when we add the other pieces and all of that. While we wait for the missing pieces, let's continue on the rear of the car. This is the first initial idea I have for the rear lights. Might be too complex, probably need something thinner, but we'll try this. So then I started creating the rear of the car, and I already knew from the beginning that this was gonna be really tricky, because the 918 rear is so curved and have so many details. Alright, I think I've already come up with a better solution for the rear lights. Why not use one of these pieces in transparent red and then cover up the lower part like this? Because then it kind of creates the shape of the 918 rear lights. At least I think this is the best possible alternative so far. So we'll just keep on building and drink some coffee. So with some coffee and studs running in my veins, I was ready to try and implement my rear light design into the 918 rear. Okay, I lied about the studs running in my veins thing, but maybe that would have helped, because this rear was by all means not an easy thing to design. But after a lot of trial and error, I came up with a good start at least. Okay, maybe this looks a little bit weird now, but I think it's gonna look really good when we add some side panels and the spoiler and stuff. So the most important thing are these rear lights, which I think this was a really good alternative for. Then it was back to building, specifically the spoiler attachments, which turned out to be even trickier to figure out. Or maybe I was just stupid, because as usual the solution ended up being pretty simple in the end. So finally found a way to attach the spoiler. Just need to order these pieces used for the spoiler supports in black. So now I've also added these like roof line or rear section parts or B-pillars, or I don't know what you call these, but these wedge plates, these wedge bricks here, and also this kind of thing with the slopes. Received some more bricklink orders, so also finished up the front, and I think it turned out relatively good, especially when you take in like everything. I think this is gonna be a very sleek, clean looking model. So yeah, good progress. After that, I started working on the sides of the model, which were significantly simpler to design than the front and rear. I did try a few different alternatives, but I ended up going with the one I filmed here. I did have a really hard time deciding on the wheelbase though. I initially made it 8 studs long between the mudguards, which is actually more accurate when compared to the blueprints. But as is so often the case with LEGO models, an 8 stud wheelbase just didn't feel right. So even though it's not perfectly true to the blueprints, I decided, like with almost all my models, to go with 7 studs instead. I just think it looks better in a LEGO format, and this model was no different. Maybe it's because the LEGO wheels tend to look a little bit tiny or small or whatever. Just can't decide if I should go for a brick-built windscreen with bar pieces like this, or the same 3D printed one I made specifically for the Elise, which actually turned out to work pretty well for this as well. Maybe just making it a bit wider here. But I ended up going with a brick-built windscreen, as the vast majority of you on Instagram also thought that was the better option. So I incorporated that while also designing an interior and a removable roof. And as always now, let's make some custom rims. And already asked you on Instagram which ones you wanted me to create, so these ones. Changed the windscreen when I added the roof, and also changed the color of both, which I think looked better. Of course, with the windscreen now it's gonna look very weird when you remove the roof, but I guess you can add this back to the windscreen if you really want to have it. Wait a second. Of course this works as well, but I just don't think it looks as good as, wait another second, as when you just have these bar pillars. But of course, as always, it's LEGO, so I really encourage you to modify it to your liking. Do that. Okay, so did one more slight adjustment that you couldn't see in the montage. I actually changed back to the slopes here at the front instead of the tiles, which I first changed to, because these slopes of course made it a bit wider than I would have liked it to be here at the front. But in the end I kind of prefer the slopes anyway, so that's what I went with. I've actually just been so indecisive about so many different things on this model. It was the color of the roof and windscreen, the windscreen alternatives, the wheelbase, and also the color of the spoiler. So I've just been really indecisive about this. But please, once again, I can't stretch it enough. Modify it to your liking. Anyway, the individual digital instructions as well as the custom-made kit should be available at the website by now. Link in the description as always. And to those who pick this up in any shape or form, thank you so incredibly much. There will probably also be a newsletter about this release, and in that newsletter I will make sure that the files for the custom wheels will be included for free. But anyway, next up in the Holy Trinity lineup will be the P1, I think, because that's the one I kind of feel most inspired to do now, even though I'm not a huge McLaren fan. I'm not a huge Ferrari fan either. I'm a huge Porsche fan though. That's why I started with this. Why didn't I leave this to the end? Anyway, the P1 will be next, I think. Subscribe for that, and as always, brick it up, turn it loose, and let your creativity burn rubber. Bye for now.